In 1984, film audiences were introduced to a new kind of villain.
You're terminated.
7 years later, writer-director James Cameron has re-teamed with stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton for the long-awaited sequel, Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
If it is little children today or grown-ups, the one line that everyone always asks me to say is, say, "I'll be back." Say that line. Come on now.
Are you gonna be back or what?
I'm a cybernetic organism. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. I'll be back.
Those words took on new meaning in the fall of 1990 when cast and crew reunited in the Mojave Desert to continue the story of Sarah Connor and her fight against the machines of the future.
The important element that's changed in her life since we saw her last is that she's had her son, John Connor, and he's now 10 years old. The new Terminator of the film is not targeted on her anymore. The child now himself is the target.
Okay.
For Cameron, Terminator 2 was only a matter of time.
Action!
It was inevitable that a Terminator sequel would get made, and I wanted to be at the helm. I wanted to make sure it didn't kind of drift off the concept of what it should be about.
Cameron's vision of a killer cyborg from the future hit a chord with audiences worldwide.
The Terminator represented something to people, a kind of a dark side of the human psyche. People want to have that fantasy of being able to do exactly what they wanted to do whenever they wanted to do it.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
You forgot to say please.
It took us all, I think, a while to realize that the Terminator had kind of permeated into the culture, and it just kept getting reflected back to me in so many ways.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator.
Arnold was always a very strong force in trying to get the sequel made.
I've said to Jim Cameron, I said, we should have an ongoing story because we're dealing here with such an interesting subject.
I knew, instinct told me that based on the strength of the first film, that there would be another one. It's just, you're never ready.
Several of the original Terminator crew returned for the sequel, including director of photography Adam Greenberg and Terminator effects creator Stan Winston.
Sequel must be true to the first film, but yet it must be more than the first film. We have to give them what they got in the first, and we have to give them something new and fresh. And I think that's what we've done in Terminator 2.
How can Arnold be starring in the sequel?
A Terminator is built in a factory, and there's one after another, and they all look like Arnold. I guess it's just because he's cute.
This Terminator, however, isn't just another pretty face.
There's more sophistication to the way it will look, and bigger, much bigger things will happen on the screen.
Action! Action, Arnold! CO2!
For 6 months, Terminator 2 combined the efforts of over 1,000 filmmakers, shooting day and night throughout the state of California to capture the many action sequences of the script. The production actually changed the course of a river to shoot high-speed chases in the extensive flood control channels of Los Angeles.
Roll, guys, roll!
The tight quarters and massive filming equipment often paralleled the action of the scenes being shot. A defunct steel mill was resurrected by the filmmakers, recreating the intense heat and light of molten steel. Ironically, actual temperatures in the mill averaged 42 degrees, making it difficult for the actors to work up a sweat. And in Northern California, a team of expert pyrotechnicians staged one of the largest police shootouts in cinematic history.
And action, Arnold.
Arnold, tell me that wasn't a rush.
Their crowning achievement, however, was blowing up a 4-story office building.
Were we supposed to roll? That was a rehearsal. I was waiting for your cue, Jim.
Arnold and I working together, it's just like it was on the first picture. He's one of the most professional people I've ever worked with. He has incredible concentration. He takes physical direction like no actor I've ever worked with. And it's really a joy to work with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Really part of the shoot.
It was before my method acting seminar. Although then, in 1984, he paid a lot of attention to the acting, he pays much more attention to the acting now. The way he goes about directing actors, how much time he spends with rehearsals, how much time he spends with perfection and with moves and gestures.
I think you both go, and then freeze.
So I would say that in that area he's much smarter and much more sophisticated. I mean, he wants to do basically everything because he has such a clear vision of what he wants to see, and see him ending up running with the smoke machine and creating smoke in front of the camera and then putting on blood and trying to do your makeup. That's why people always say that a Jim Cameron movie has a certain look, because it's a total representation of what he wants to see.
Long before the cameras roll, Cameron and crew are hard at work, designing sequences and testing ideas in a unique mix of filmmaking and science.
I do a lot of visual research, I do a lot of technical research. The more fantastic the subject, the more realistic the situation needs to be.
Using extremely detailed models, Cameron designed sequences with the aid of a thumb-sized video camera. By blocking the scene in miniature, production designer Joe Nemec can alter a location or set to meet the specific needs of the scene. Also during pre-production, an ex-Israeli commando provided the cast with military combat and weapons training. Since the character of Sarah has become an expert marksman, Linda was required to master a variety of guns and assault rifles.
It was really like entering the military and learning the mindset and coming up against myself in a big way. That was even more significant in terms of playing Sarah.
Very good.
She is so set herself down a path, a concentrated path of duty, that she's lost all touch with her son.
You cannot risk yourself even for me. Do you understand? You're too important.
She's a great warrior, but for what? You know, so what? She doesn't have anything that makes it worthwhile, you know. And also, my life. It's like, oh, we don't even notice the gunshot anymore.
Why does it want me?
It was a nuclear war.
Sarah has lived with the certain knowledge of the destruction of the world on a certain date for so long, and it haunts her dreams and nightmares every night, and it's driven her kind of to the point of madness, really, as it would anybody who really had to confront that knowledge.
Because I knew it happened! It happened!
We experience the end of the world through Sarah's eyes, a process that called for the strictest sense of realism. But even more powerful and haunting are Sarah's visions of the people.
And he comes down, and action, he jumps off and covers up. Oh, stop. What'd you do? See Commando 10 times?
When we had to create ashen bodies that were going to be blown away by a nuclear holocaust, it was very unsettling. And it was the one time when you got a little uncomfortable because it wasn't pleasant to look at while you were shooting it. but it is the important aspect of the film.